All right, so good news this week, we do not have an exam. I think the way the summer schedule works is pretty much every other week is when we're going to have a test, all right? So we had one last week, nothing this week, get a little bit easy. You do have a couple lectures to watch, so don't take it too easy, but no test at least, all right? So Wednesday, we're going to meet and we're going to do Lab 3 is on the cell. So Lab 3 is we're looking at different cells. There's going to be some that are preserved that we're just going to pop in the microscope and look at. There are several that you're going to have to prepare yourself. So we'll have like plants that you're going to make a slice out of and you'll prepare a slide. It's not bad. I'll walk you through how to do all that. And then when we look at each of those cells in the microscopes, there's going to be different parts that you have to identify. At the beginning of lab, we've got a couple models, and we're going to use those models to learn the parts of the cell too. But it's just all on the cell, okay? So not a bad lab. We'll meet at 8 o'clock, and we should be, most of the labs, if we don't have a test, we should be done within a couple hours. You'll have more time if you need it, but like if you're planning-wise, we should be done by 10 o'clock or so. All right. Now, since this lab is on the cell, what I want you to do, you got a couple lectures you're supposed to watch this week. Chapter 4 is on the cell structure. Chapter 5 is on the cell membrane, and we're going to talk about diffusion and osmosis and how things can pass in and out of the cell. So what I want you to do is watch Chapter 4 before lab on Wednesday, all right? Because that lecture, Chapter 4, is going to go along with the lab that we do this week. If you have watched that lecture, the lab's going to make a lot more sense. You'll get done a little quicker. You'll get a lot more out of it too because you'll know what we're talking about. All right. Chapter 5, that lecture, you can watch it later in the week if you want to, or you can watch it early if you, whenever. But just make sure you watch Chapter 4 before we meet on Wednesday for the lab. All right. You have a Chapter 4 and 5 review quiz, and that is going to be due next Wednesday, June the 30th. That is when Exam 2 is. So just make sure these review quizzes, you can do them as soon as you're done watching the lecture video. I would really recommend that. But just like I said before, make an alarm on your phone or something like that to make sure that you complete those before the test. And our next test, Exam 2, that's going to be next Wednesday. All right, June 30th. Okay, so that's it for this week. If you have any questions, if you need help with anything, let me know. Thanks.